Alright, so this section is actually a little bit more complicated. We've already written this somewhere out here, but we'll say this. The major sin the major sin of conferential ethics, is that the practitioner uh, subsumes the authority of absolute advantage, the authority of absolute advantage to presume that the major sin of confrontal ethics is the practitioner subsumes the authority of absolute advantage uh, to pretend uh, that it is governing it, and to pretend it is governed, limited. But we say it is improper. But we say it is improper. It is improperly limited. It is improperly limited if an absolute advantage, of any kind, even one in the cause of, one in the cause of the culture, the major sin is that the practitioner subsumes the authority of absolute advantage. But we say it is improperly limited if an absolute of any kind, even one in the cause of the culture. How do I put this? We say prevails cultural dedication. Cultural dedication in lieu of and under color of dedication to the people, without exception. The depth of the intuition admits a separate question. A separate question of cultural resolution. With, as we may describe to be defined by and related to the personal agent perimeter, the personal agent perimeter, and so also the official agency, the official perimeter of federal agency. L'amour.
Hello, my name is Björk, and this is my first TV show. I'm a virgin to those things, so I'm very excited. I am going to introduce some of my favorite songs to you. The first one is the song I'm mostly excited about now this week, by a man called Richard, but calls himself Aphex Twin, and it's this new video called Come to Daddy, which I think is a masterpiece, and it's hilariously funny, and it's got a lot of this energy. And I think With music today, for me, I think he's definitely the pioneer. Avex Twin is the king. Hello, my name is Björk, and this is my first TV.
That's pretty good. Oh, right on. Spin cycle.
Donald Trump, a president who campaigned on a promise to the American people. This is how the story went during the campaign. The economy was broken, and he alone could fix it.
It takes us
So
into
naturally, the Trump administration is on a spin cycle today.
So we're very, very excited about where things are going. It's a little bit of a disappointing job number, but I pretty much expect it's going to revise up. It's just not an acceptable thing that the jobs numbers are so unreliable that they're being revised all the heck over the place. A completely different story if we have 1 million fewer jobs, as happened the last time that there was a revision. And so that's one reason why President Trump thinks we need a new set of eyes over there at BLS to fix this problem.
Hours before the American people even knew anything about these other brutal jobs numbers, Trump was playing one of his favorite games, explaining which numbers were real and which ones were fake. Watch.
Can you commit to saying the data will be credible?
The number, I don't know, they come out tomorrow, but the real numbers that I'm talking about are going to be whatever it is.
There it is.
Will be in a year from now when these monstrous, huge,
I'm glad the news tells
places,
these kinds of stories,
the palaces of genius, and when they start opening up, you're seeing
mansions of philosophy.
I think you'll see job numbers that are going to be absolutely incredible. Right now, it's a lot of construction numbers, but you're going to see job numbers like our country has never seen before.
It's not clear what he's talking about, but the important piece of news there seems to be that there won't be any, quote, real numbers for at least a year. Not for nothing. It is worth nodding to the bravery these days associated with compiling and publicly releasing real numbers that are so bad, such poor economic data. Remember, the last person who did that is now the former commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. She was fired for simply doing her job and telling the truth.
Can't we have people who just do their jobs?
The absolutely toxic and acidic nature of the Trump presidency, which is fueled on retribution and revenge and spin and lies. And what it means not just for the soul of our nation, but for the stability and strength and very basic ability to function as an economy as well. Donald Trump,
man,
a president.
we are in trouble. That is the biggest kind of trouble. Anyway, we talk about that a little bit here. Because one of the things we're going off on here is this idea of agency perimeters. So, and issues orientation. So one of the problems that we get, and this is the, and so, I feel like we're kind of hashing on beat. I want to say this other part about agentics, and it doesn't necessarily fit in the term just yet. We don't want to say that just yet. But we're talking a little bit about spin, and I'm actually looking at some notes I was making earlier today here. Let's look at something else here. Um, uh, the clarifying approach we take here is by way of an already understated and widely disseminated uh, uh, course of analysis designed under cultural anthropology, and the more or less extended innuendos of anthropology and filmmaking. Anthropology of art. I'm literally looking at a Wikipedia page here. Media, music, dance, and film. And one of the things we're saying here is fundamentally there's a conflict in the observational science of the term, and we say, and we're just writing this from a recording earlier. The anthropological term would say that you're trying to observe humanism aside from culture. Humanism aside from culture. Um, or it would say its object is to observe human expression in culture. One uh, the former term is pessimistic, and the latter more optimistic. And above in this paper, we talk a little bit on the limits of globalism as a rule, and so a reader here is going to carry that analysis. We're trying to misspell comitatus there. The analysis naturally confronts the individual more or less evenly in the organic term. Yeah, like basically computers can't be smart without writing at this level. You know, everything is falling in the American government right now. We're even being flipped off by people in the UK and stuff. It's really weird. Oh, there's Ghost of
This
Yosa.
game literally documents real weather patterns to manipulate you. You see, when most developers want to make weather for their game, they just make it up. But the Ghost of Yote team decided to do something completely different. They sent sound engineers to northern Japan with boom mics to capture real wind sounds from Hokkaido forests. They recorded how wind moves through cedar groves at dusk, how it whistles across mountain ridges, and how it sounds different near coastlines. But here's where it gets really interesting. They built a procedural wind layering system where the game engine dynamically blends 3 to 5 different wind samples based on your biome tag, altitude, and weather conditions. So when fog rolls into a valley, that's not random. And the wildlife sounds, they're controlled by a scheduler that uses the in-game
Need a pet wolf.
sun angle and region this game literally
Look, there's Atlanta Pierce. She's funny. Man, skateboarding is thinking about destroying everything again. Great, there's somebody trying to simulate the bombing of Hiroshima. It's crazy. Nine Inch Nails at Woodstock. Sidetrack. You getting sidetracked, bro? Stay busy. Anyway, the anthropological term would say that you are trying to observe humanism aside from culture, or would say its object is to observe human expression in culture. The former term is pessimistic, and the latter more optimistic. The analysis naturally confronts the individual more or less evenly in the organic term, and elicits from the viewer-reader, a responsive and relatively direct observation of conferential ethics. This is filmic relativity in fictional representation. In fictional representation, takes decent austerity. Say when manipulating objects or even monsters who bear a behavioral relief. In society, in real life society, just as an art, um, the person finds he or she is observing either, and here's a new form of parody that admits all this. Behavioral flow admits globalism and globalism and order, or finds subsumption of what is arguably inferior diversity. Yeah, inferior diversity, it says inferior conferential diversity. Um, we're in the possible meaning. The possible meaning of humanity is different is different depending on whether the cultural anthropologist can adopt optimism critically, or is it optimism more pragmatically. A trick of art. A trick of art. The objectivity of an observational science, in anthropological terms, may be discreetly restricted to conditions of concrete literary resolution. May be discreetly restricted to conditions of concrete literary resolution. While actual immersion and interaction produce variably difficult government. Who the fuck hates government? Fuck fascism. Do you even know what fascism is? It's the only way to purify agency. That's probably wrong, but we could argue it. Anyway, a concrete literary resolution while actual merged interaction provides variably difficult let's just say variable circumstances for personal investment and divestment from a culture, personal investment and divestment. Personal investment and divestment from a culture. Because perspective aids to define any kind of conferential resolution, any kind of conferential resolution. The artist can attempt to drive the audience into cultural conflict. Humanist element. With cultural elements and the artist strives to produce to elicit an authentic interpretation, a concrete interpretation of culture. These usually result in exaggerated in exaggerated expressions of optimism, and brusque uh, constructions of uh, of objective to filmic enterprise. To filmic enterprise, and that right there, that's a transformer. Those ideas are a little bit more complicated for like large language models and such, because you have to have a whole other system to recognize how filmic objectivity is derived out of methodological objectivity in an operational scheme. It's objective to filmic enterprise. Um, whole cultural transformers, whole linguistic cultural transformers. What happens when a centaur leaves the plane? These usually result in exaggerated expressions of optimism and brusque constructions of objective filmic enterprise. Um, and relatively animate the engaged audience. Um, the audience, uh, the audience who experiences it, uh, witnesses and attempts to take with them a conferential token. From the in Western civilization, this has become the canonical brusque. Everything's brusque. Brewskis. You want some brewskis? Smashing beers at the fucking wall. The brusque edge of artistic. The brusque edge of. I just have this term over saying it sounds pretty good. Of artistic design. I guess we just say design. The brusque edge of design. Who admits the viewer, who admits audience. Uh, this is where you get into this new journalist tropes where we start trying to just transfer everything to psychologically. It's fucking stupid. Who admits cultural understanding? In a dramatic manner. Cultural understanding in a pragmatic manner. Let's say cultural pragmatism. And aids to define what we would call we'll just call it meta conference. Meta conference of ethics of consent dissent. We return to a prominent legal example. This is legalism, by the way. Legal example. Let's shorten this. People don't want to watch this shit for the same